But how do those things, how do they stay active then? Because I do so much looking
The
forward.
reason that it feels not just difficult, but close to impossible, and others are agreeing with you, what we just told you to do doesn't feel possible because law of attraction keeps bringing it to you. So you have to find a way of focusing in a way that law of attraction doesn't bring it to you, which means you've got to deactivate it. Well, when you decide to deactivate something, guess what you do? You activate it.
Yes.
So how do you deactivate something? By activating something else. Or reboot. Shut it all down. We are recommending a lobotomy. We are recommending a practiced meditation where you quiet your mind. It might take you a week to get so your mind is really quiet. But when you focus on some sound in a room, can you hear something in this room? Fan? Or dripping faucet? Just focus on something that doesn't take much thought, but that does require focus. When you focus upon something, and when your mind wanders, then it will go back to focus on that. And when your mind wanders, then it will go back to focus on that. And when your mind wanders, then it will go back to focus on that. Usually within about 15 or 20 minutes, you can find a minute or two of a quieted mind. And when you quiet your mind, you stop all thought. You stop all thought. Now hear this. We have not said this clearly before. Remember those two parts of you that we were talking about? The inner being you and the you here in this physical body? You quiet the you's mind down. The inner being's mind is the only mind that is active. The inner being's mind is focused unequivocally, inextricably, only completely, specifically upon everything that you have become. So when you quiet this for a brief moment in time, you are that. In other words, you just move right there. Your vibration rises. It's like the frequency of your inner being is a magnetic point of attraction, and when you are not offering any opposing vibration, off you go right into vibrational alignment with that. And then you're in sync with the new intention, and that old thing that happened that was active before is not active now. Now, will that one time cause all propensity to think about it to not exist? No, because there's still some momentum. Something's going to happen. You'll hear a song. Somebody will say a word. There are all kinds of triggers in your environment that could potentially take you back there. But if you quiet your mind often enough for a week or two or three or four until you establish a new vibrational relationship with the desire part of this subject rather than the lack of desire part of this subject, now it's easy. And then the conversation that we have, instead of it being, oh, Abraham, I just can't stop thinking about that, the conversation will be, I can't even remember the last time I thought about that. It's like it just goes away. It literally changes your frequency and therefore your perspective and therefore your past, really. It changes your relationship with your past. You're now, there are 15 analogies flooding into Esther's mind simultaneously. Your now moment in time overwrites everything that you've lived before. Now, that feels confusing to you because you think you have memory. You don't have memory. What memory is transmitting and receiving mechanism. In other words, you don't have a storage cabinet that's storing all this stuff. You are transmitting and receiving vibrations and translating them into what you are calling your memory or your knowledge. Sit with that just for a moment. It's really chewy. So in every moment, everything's being written over. Do you have any computer programs like that override everything that came before? In other words, the now just keeps updating. You make a change and it changes. You know what we're talking about? Maybe not. So I'll give you another analogy. So in your now, in alignment with source, your vortex, which contains all that you've evolved to, becomes dominant, and everything is overwritten. If you have more debt than you have money, overridden. The money overrides it. If you have a bad relationship and a good one in the vortex, overridden. We're not kidding you. You can stay current with your now vibrational reality. So after a while, things that used to be active that you kept updating, you're no longer updating, so they don't keep coming with you. And in their place is the new perspective more important, the new point of attraction. The way we've said it to you that might be easier to hear, although we really liked what we just said to you. Everything is always changing, but for most it's just changing to the same thing over and over and over again, because you keep having the same thoughts about the same sorts of things, and so you just keep becoming new in the old way. And then it feels to you like things aren't getting better. Well, things are changing, but they're changing to what's active in your vibration. Is this making sense to you? So now, give us some really good questions. So is there anything to do other than meditate, really?
Well, so meditating I get, and I love...
No, you don't.
Well, yes, I do. There's sometimes...
We know that you get it, but do you understand that it will solve the problem that we are discussing here? It will change your vibrational frequency, and therefore it will change your point of attraction, and therefore tomorrow you could have an entirely different discussion. It will change the thoughts that flow into your mind. It changes everything. Right here and now is where all of your power is, and this is this junction where you meet you, and your inner being has been completely updated. When you know what you don't want, you put something that you do want in your vortex, and your inner being becomes it. So every time you ask for more money, your inner being, the vibrational you of you, becomes more prosperous. Every time you're confused, you become clearer. Every time somebody is not nice, the world becomes nicer. Every time you're not nice, you become nicer. Every time there's a contrasting experience, there's a vibrational reality that is the new and improved version, which most people don't move immediately to, because you're too busy justifying why you wanted that by pointing out what's wrong with all of this. So you keep the stuff that you don't want active in your vibration, and then it's stuck in your vibrational cross, so it keeps affecting your point of attraction. And then you say, see, it's true. This is how it happens. And then we say, meditation will clear that. And you say, well, I really know about meditation, but I think there are some other things that I would rather do. And we say, rather than just update the vibrational frequency and get in sync with who you really are and everything that you want, why would you choose less than that? For the screenplay?
Well, herein is the real question then, is when I'm in meditation, there's nothing wrong. I'm floating. It's glorious. Like, I can't get enough of it.
Take note of his tone of voice.
I mean, anyone who's been there knows.
Now he's trying to get you in on it.
Get in on it. If you haven't done it, do it every day. Listen to this person, because it is amazing.
What we're playing with you is, what you're saying is, in meditation, everything's all hunky-dory. But there was a tone in your voice that was implying a backup statement that says, but my reality hasn't really changed yet. We heard it from a lot of you. Abraham, how can I get my money out of the vortex and into the bank? We get it. In religions, they call it faith. Here, we call it understanding how the laws of the universe work, and understanding that how you feel is where you're going, and that if you can find... Esther's been asking herself 100 times or more every day, is this satisfying? Is that thought satisfying? Is this dream that I just dreamed in the night, is it satisfying? Because that answer to that question indicates to her whether she's under the influence of source or whether she's under the influence of something else. And Esther's at the point now where if the answer is, I'm under the influence of something else, she can change it. And here's why. In the early days, we talked about pivoting. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. But momentum and law of attraction don't let that be an easy pivot. Jerry had an analogy where if you're sitting in front of a fireplace and the log spits a spark at you and it gets on your sweater, if you flick it off immediately, nothing happens. But if you don't flick it off immediately, it will burn a hole right into your sweater. So the analogy is, if you are keen to the idea of satisfying thoughts, and you're catching the not satisfying thoughts in the early subtle stages, so that you don't brood about it, you don't dwell about it, you don't blog about it, you don't talk about it, you don't write reports about it, you don't hold meetings about it, you don't yammer on and on and on about it, then you flicked it off and it doesn't affect you. And it won't be long before something will happen. You'll launch the rocket of desire, and the rocket of desire will be the easiest thing for you to focus upon.
Okay. I love that idea. I love that idea. I love that idea.